Oh, this is exciting. In this video, it's the Auper D6. Oh, do you want to look into it? Oh, we want to look into it. From 3Racing, this is the Sakura Auper D6. Fully built, special edition, all upgrades. Everything that you can do to that chassis is in this box. And today, we're going to be getting it all fully assembled. If you are new to the channel, welcome. My name is Troy. This is Roadside RC. You'll tend to find me bashing or crawling or drifting or racing, plus doing product review videos and how-tos. Let's get started by seeing what's in this box and what the heck I'm talking about. It needs assembled because it's supposed to come fully assembled, right? So let's see what happens when we open this lid. All right, if you're sensitive, you may need to avert your eyes because, oh, it's just instructions and stickers. Haha. A full, ooh, look, it's in color and everything. Full manual, exploded diagram showing you how to assemble the car. Oh, that is nice. Of course, you may end up having to do some stuff to it, how they recommend the shocks and everything. And spare parts. I like it. What is under here? Oh, yes, I am part of Team Blue. Assumed these shocks came pre-assembled. We have the shocks over here on the side, but I'm seeing differential oil. I'm seeing shock oil, the ceramic grease, the thread locker. So we might need to make sure. Sure feel good. We have two shocks here. They're a little bit longer. Those are going to be for the rear. We have some little ball studs, some extra screws. Oh, I bet those go with. These look like our magnetic body mounts. It is nice that they include those, enough for the front and the rear. The little oddball single shock. That's for the front of the car. And that looks like the front bumper that is not installed. Gosh, those parts, I really hope you can see those. Those parts look amazing. With a little etching in there, plus the color. I mean, that's really, really nice. We have pinion gear here, wheel hex wrench, turnbuckle end wrench, servo horns. Oh, look at us. All the different stuff. Some double-sided tape even. Literally even some 3M double-sided tape for our electronics. And then we have the chassis itself. Look at that. Oh, that looks absolutely amazing. I have number 4 of 50 as it's labeled here. I don't want to touch it. I want to leave it on the shelf. That looks so good. Look at the bottom of that chassis. Oh man. I'm sorry if I'm being quiet here. I'm just kind of taking it all in. That is one piece of work right there. That looks great. The first thing I'm looking at here is just, does everything move freely? Do I feel any issues or any binding with the assembly that they already have done? There is a lot going on up here in this front suspension that you need to kind of look at. Are all of these things tight? Does everything up here look good? And yes, from my standpoint, yes, everything up here looks amazing. That is awesome. Check that out. But just something to make sure you're not seeing any parts loose. You're not seeing anything missing. The front up here, it has a lot of extra kind of give because you're having to move all of this so it doesn't move super free. If you move one wheel independently, it's actually compressing a spring here. So you gotta kind of feel all that out. Does it feel like it's moving right? Do you get any binding in the steering? Everything feels really good straight out of the box. I don't feel any issue with the diff. The diff feels nice and smooth. All the bearings feel like they're spinning nice and free. So far, very, very happy. And I'm also really surprised. We're going to have to get this thing on a scale here in a minute. It feels super lightweight. I'm really surprised. I guess there's not a lot here. If you look at the chassis, so much of it's cut out that maybe that's why it feels lightweight, but I'm really surprised by how lightweight this thing feels for being basically all metal. Confirming that yes, indeed, the shocks are shipped dry. So they're assembled, but you will need to take the bottom spring off, which is just simply removing the bottom spring retainer, pull the spring off, and then the shock cap just simply unscrews off the top. But we are going to be using their recommended 50 CST. This is the oil that it came with. We have filled all the shocks full of oil. We're going to pump them up and down a little bit to help them get the air out. You can even hear it squishing a little bit in there. So you want to do this. You want to make sure that the bubbles come up here to the top. You think that you need to top off any of the fluid as you do so, please do that to make sure. Your goal is to get all the air out here. So we're going to do that on all of them, refill it, let it sit until all of those air bubbles have dissipated. Now we're going to measure, this is right at 15 millimeters. Before we go putting the bladder on, I'm going to knock that down to about half. So we're going to go to right around 7 millimeters on these rear shocks. We're going to take those bladders out of that top cap, and we're going to come in here right on an angle. And come in there. You might get a little bit of oil out. Looks like I had that one just about right, actually, from a fill. A little bit of oil came out, and then we're going to come in and put that cap back on. And you're not going to over cranky on these caps because you will deform that little bladder in there. Oh yeah, look at that. And then just stick our springs back on. This is shock number 2, and as I was going to put it on, I noticed a little more wiggle down here than I thought was appropriate. Notice that this bottom cap was a little bit loose, so you're going to want to really check all of the parts here as you put them in, because I noticed that bottom cap was loose, and that's gonna ruin your day if you have it like that. We now get to mount our shocks to the car, and I do want to warn you about something up here at the top. You'll notice that they are different side to side. The ball cup that's in this metal shock cap, you want the more open hole obviously needs to go onto the ball. Hold the rear diff out of the car, just because since the shocks were not full of fluid. How is the differential? The differential definitely has fluid in it, but I'll be honest, it's not a lot. According to the manual, the fluid level is supposed to be up kind of to the center line, or maybe even past the center line of the gears in there, and it is definitely not. So I'm going to add a little extra fluid to this. On the standard car, these did leak a little bit, not necessarily from this gasket area, but actually out through these ends. I see mine slightly wet. This looks like it's the standard D6 diff, and so, you know, maybe not surprising. But yeah, that's a whole lot closer to what they said in the manual as far as how much fluid should be in this thing. As you put your differential back in, do want to make sure the drive shafts as they go in, make sure you get them in there nicely. The differential has that key system around the rear bearing that does influence how tight your belt is, so you got to make sure you get that back in the exactly down position, which is where it came from the factory. If it doesn't feel, if the belt still feels loose, you want to be really careful with it, and you want to watch this cross shaft right here. You can adjust the tension with it a little bit. And I would like to note that this is an upgrade compared to the regular D6. They actually fixed this. The regular D6, it was just one-sided, kind of stuck out there, and some people got it really tight and snapped it off. Now it's a through all the way. That's great to see. Seems like a good time to go ahead and put the front bumper on. So I'm going to use, this is metal screw going into a metal part. So I'm going to use some of their supplied thread locker. The bumper just sits right here on the front, nestles in beautifully actually, how they have it designed. And it's just simply 2 very short screws. I did just notice I put the wrong screw in there, so it's kind of interesting. On the bottom here, they have black steel screws throughout the whole kit, but when you flip it over, you see all shiny, I think they might be aluminum. They're either aluminum or titanium, I don't know. They're non-magnetic either way. But man, they are really nice hardware. Really nice hardware that they provide. Front body mounts, honestly, they go on pretty easy. There's a screw down here, which I can't get my speed tips to, so I ended up having to use just 90-degree Allen wrench in order to hold it in there, while I then just screwed it down from the top. And then just one little countersunk screw and the magnets, and then you have front body mounts that are just barely past the height of this, so you may end up needing to space them up, something like that, depending on what you're doing with your body. The rear body mounts are pretty simple. You can just come in here, they have these standoffs, thread into these back portions here, and then you can just take your countersunk screw and your magnet and screw that right in there on top. This chassis is adjustable, so according to the side of it here, 259 millimeters, which looks to be where we are now. It doesn't look like it can get really much longer than where it is, but it can go all the way down to 237, which is very intriguing, and it looks like it can do that rather quickly. Basically, like these 4 screws here, plus just a couple screws here, and the whole chassis just slides in and out right there in the center. That's pretty nice, if I'm honest. Very, very nice. I already mentioned all the different markings and everything that are on this that were not on the plastic version. It really is quite nice. I'm really quite impressed with everything that I'm seeing on the chassis. Front end alignment looks different. I can get more steering angle out of it than I can here, but do note that they have these very nice fancy machined little stoppers here. When it's hitting the control arm over here, it's not hitting it on the flat spot, it's hitting it on the curved spot. Is that what they meant to do, or did they actually mean for that flat spot to hit it? Because if you get the flat spot to hit it, then the front steering will turn just that little bit more. You can literally just grab them with a pair of pliers and turn them. There's probably an engineer somewhere at 3Racing that's cringing right now as I'm doing this. And with those turned sideways a little bit like that, look at that, we get a whole lot better steering angle, and I get a whole lot happier with the factory alignment. Gearing. It did, as I noted earlier, come with a pinion gear in the box, which is great, except it's a 48 pitch, and the fancy new white spur gear is 64 pitch. 48, 64, no worky together-y. Fortunately, I had a 48 pitch gear laying around, and so I'm swapping that over. This is something you need to consider. If you're getting this Auper D6, you need to either get a pinion or you need to get a spur gear and to make everything work together, unless I just got unlucky. Next steps for me are to get some electronics in. And I have some fancy dancy Yokomo electronics to go into it to get this thing up and running. So we are going to be focused on that. But I will note that this is a limited edition run of these Auper D6s, and there is only a certain number of them left. And it's pricey. It's a pricey little chassis here. If I'm not going to lie to you. I think it's on sale for $588. Good news, but 3Racing team are actually giving a discount, so I'll have a special discount code that gets you some discount on this car, which is going to add up to a pretty good chunk of that $588. So be looking for that down in the video description, along with a link as to where to get it. Overall, I am super impressed with this chassis. It seems like it takes that base model that's like $150 in it. It's like they released an engineer to go do whatever they wanted, kind of thing. As I get to work on these electronics, if you want to follow along with anything that I'm doing with this Sakura D6, there's going to be a Sakura D6 dedicated playlist up here that I'm going to be adding all of this to. It includes a lot of the tips and tricks from the original carbon fiber version as well. So as you're looking between the two of them and seeing what the differences are, I would highly suggest that you go and check that out. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments. Otherwise, I will see you in one of these upcoming videos. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.